Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening to every one of you in whichever part of the world you are in. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. This is one of the first of the many few webinar series, which is focused around network automation and orchestration. The first webinar series is focused towards the part 2, network infrastructure agility. This is Karthik. I work as a product manager at AppViewX. I oversee the automation suite. It's one of the key topics that we're going to discuss as part of this webinar series. Just a quick introduction about AppViewX itself. AppViewX is headquartered at Seattle. Basically, we primarily help NetOps and SecOps adapt to various technology and process demands. And we help them being agile around DevOps, IoT, cloud, and software-defined infrastructure. We help automate network and security services in brownfield and greenfield data centers. Some of our customers are Fortune 100 and are using platform at scale. The total employee strength is over 375 people, employees overall, and we are based out of India as well as the United States of America. The agenda for today's webinar is going to be as follows. We'll go through how applications and networks are evolving in general, and with networks getting more complex in nature, it is imperative that we understand what it takes to build an agile network infrastructure. And once we go through some of those details, we'll see how AppViewX's visual workflow, which is an automation orchestration product, will help you in achieving automation orchestration with more agility and efficiency. And towards the end of the webinar series, you can post your questions through the chat window, and I'll be more than happy to answer some of the questions that you may have. The first bit, we'll try and understand how applications in general, and the network is evolving, overall. We see there's a before and after scene with the whole network structure, and in terms of how the application itself is, evolving overall, right? In the past, it was more of a tactical approach. Where everyone saw it more as a supporting mechanism, as against it being a totally business-driven thing. And provisioning or configuring applications required a lot of manual effort and a lot of operational cost, and it is very tedious. And one of the key things that everyone is trying to solve as part of the whole application automation and provisioning processes, eliminating a lot of errors that eventually cause a lot of network outages, right? And the time to service and deliver, is traditionally taking, involved, a lot of time. And whereas the shift today is in terms of how the whole process, in terms of provisioning, automation, and orchestration of the complete application in itself can be more agile in nature, in the sense, how can we be more nimble-footed? How can we reduce human errors? How can we reduce the number of outages that are caused? How can we help, better troubleshooting given the complexity of the networks, since, application is totally business-driven. So in that context, we'll see, some of the challenges and the way, the whole evolution of the application itself is happening. Traditionally, application provisioning has been, a lot of manual effort that required involvement of a plethora of people across several roles and teams. It could take, days or even weeks to move a request from one phase to another. By that, what I mean is, to move a request from a submission phase through an actual implementation of the service itself could take a long time, right? And that eventually led to a lot of human effort, a lot of manual effort in the process, a lot of time that taken. Basically, there's not much productivity and efficiency in the overall process, right? Be it bare metal servers or virtual machines, provisioning of the applications traditionally, were independent tasks that involved different data center teams, and that had to be solved at some point in time. I think there's this phase that requires the whole process to have better collaboration across cross-functional teams, have configurations and application provisioning be more efficient, overall, right? And the traditional method typically required manual effort. It involved logging to a lot of devices, which obviously is pretty time consuming, right? And then it involved configuring provisioning of devices. And it was more CLI driven, right? It was not too simplified. And it obviously took a lot of effort and perhaps didn't allow engineers, NetOps, SecOps users to focus on more strategic initiatives as against, focusing on day-to-day operations, right? But network is more strategic in nature. It's more business driven, and you need a lot of human power channelized in the relevant direction, which is towards the strategic part of the network itself. And that means being more efficient, reduction of the human effort in the overall process, better collaboration across teams, and then automating it efficiently. So that's the way the automation process is actually going towards in terms of the application automation orchestration piece. The current scenario of networks, network budgets are flat. There's less control, but perhaps more responsibility involved. And business wants more, faster, and cheaper, right? And there is OpEx involved as part of the entire process. And with new technologies and innovations coming in, I think it is really imperative that organizations and teams focus on investing in better config management tools, workflow automation tools, and also ensuring that the human resource is actually empowered with better skill sets as against doing just day-to-day operations, and rather you spend more time on human resource focusing on strategic initiatives. So network teams often receive a lot of multiple change requests related to be it deployment or modification of an application, and managing these requests often required a lot of attention across different teams and individuals. But most often these teams operated in their own isolated silos, a problem that only multiplies as an organization scales. And as a result of that, the application configuration process itself could take several days or even weeks, right? And that's a lot of time and effort considering the whole digital business transformation space in terms of how we want to be more agile and drive better revenues and growth across the organization itself. And with customers looking beyond infrastructure to include applications, the maintenance complexity, and perhaps the last mile configuration associated with application golden templates, it's no longer a sustainable solution at all, right? And agility is key, in terms of having to deploy new applications. Agility is really key because troubleshooting networks are complex, and it's really imperative that there is robust monitoring in terms of how you can troubleshoot incidents, have pattern-based recognition to resolve incidents within a given SLA, and to even provision applications quickly. Because traditional methods, were bound to fail. It is not nimble-footed, and you really had to deliver. And with the advent of DevOps, enterprises are rolling out new applications like never before. And hence, as a result, NetOps teams, which are managing ADC infrastructures, are most times overwhelmed with frequent change requests, and they just simply cannot keep up using the traditional and management manual approach. So in this whole context, I think to be agile, to be efficient, to be more productive, and to reduce human effort primarily is the key goal when it comes to the complete automation and orchestration scene, and in terms of how you can manage your applications better. I think we know network is the foundation, and like we've been discussing, there's a lot of teams, a lot of process tools. There are a lot of different people involved as part of the entire process, and you have change management systems, and every config that goes onto a network requires you to audit, and it's really imperative that most of these are actually streamlined, so that there's more agility through automation, in terms of how that the whole network is itself handled overall, be it firewalls, be it routers, switches, ADCs, around certificate management, and a whole lot of things, right? How do you enable network infrastructure agility, right? We know traditional processes have a lot of issues, and one thing is for sure, that we really have to be agile, right? In any walk of life, not just networks, but in any walk of life, it is important to be agile. And from a network point of view, and where does network automation orchestration fit into the whole thing? One is there is always existing processes and tools that are already in place within organizations, and the key to any vendor, any tool, any automation tool, is to seamlessly integrate with their existing infrastructure, so that there is business continuity as part of the whole process. And you could have different devices, vendors, tools as part of your setup, and it is really imperative that a network automation orchestration software is sort of agnostic in terms of understanding the network, the devices, the vendors, and a robust data model is there, so that network configurations are made quickly, right? And it has to work across different layers, different teams, different change management systems, and finally, we look at the implementation of the configurations itself on the device, right? So the moot point here is, for any network automation orchestration tool, the bottom line is that it has to seamlessly fit into the current business process, primarily to drive business continuity, and to also integrate so that you're able to realize value quickly. So networks is not easy, right? A fully automated system can, in principle, reduce the provisioning time, the automation time, from pretty much weeks to days, and through which you can actually see significant benefits to the organization as well as business users. And in order to achieve this, network automation orchestration softwares require addressing the complete end-to-end workflow, from business request to service activation, which involves technology, people, teams, and process, which is pretty much this pane that we see on the screen right now, right? Primarily, the focus is on these key aspects. There are a lot of self-servicing teams that need to be abstracted from the core network itself, and in that context, there is a need for better self-servicing mechanism through maybe service catalogs, through standard offerings that are gone through a life cycle, and with end user access via self-servicing portal, right? It is really imperative that you have end users, app teams being able to provide requirements or inputs without having to know the core network in itself, so that they're able to automate and orchestrate pretty effectively, right? Not everyone needs to know scripts. Not everyone needs to know the underlying network. Self-servicing is really critical when it comes to getting inputs and how you can abstract the whole thing from customer-facing teams, right? The other key things as part of the entire network automation and orchestration software is a workflow engine itself, because it needs to tie across different teams, different processes, different tools. So the workflow engine is pretty critical as part of the whole process. Self-servicing is important, given the fact that different teams and individuals need access to capture business requirements that translates into network-specific configuration. So in that sense, self-service cataloging, creating forms, exposing those to end users is really critical. Making them available through self-service request portals is a important facet, right? And then deep down, networks require a lot of intelligence. Any software sitting or working around the network has to be intelligent. So in that context, the whole workflow itself needs to be intelligent and event driven, and perhaps also be event driven through an analytics or a monitoring engine. So lesser the intervention and more system understanding of the network, I think will help reduce a lot of human effort and help drive a better automation orchestration process overall. And one important thing that network automation and orchestration softwares really have to focus. Again, this is coming from a survey where almost 45% of the engineers highlighted the fact that collaboration across cross-functional teams is a pain, right? So pain is the operative word, and in that context, it is important that network automation tools, help organizations focus on cross-team collaboration and change control through business process automation. It could be your create virtual servers, it could be DNS record automation, it could be SSL automation. But end of the day, if it's going on a device, you really need the changes to be audited, right? There is compliance, there is governance. So network tools have to sort of fit in the realm of a specific enterprises compliance and governance rules. And in that sense, integrating with ITSM tools is pretty important. And obviously, lesser the scripts is better. You need more out-of-the-box solutions. You need more abstraction. You need networking tools to be more policy-driven. So in that sense, the reason for that is you need to have the speed to market in order for you to roll out and to cater to new business initiatives, right? You basically need more responsive environments, less outages, more robust and stable environments, and network automation tools can only facilitate that. And it is really important that it plays its small part in terms of enabling more responsive environments and eventually cater to the larger business growth itself. And one of the key things is a lot of compliance checks, pre-validation or post-validation checks as part of the network software itself. One of the primary reasons everyone wants to invest in automation tools is because you primarily want to reduce human errors, and the OPEX is involved, right? Operational cost is a big overhead. So in that sense, network tools have to ensure that there is enough pre-validation checks before device configurations are pushed onto the device, and enough post-validation checks once configurations have been pushed. And it is important that in the event of any failures, there is enough mechanism to handle rollbacks either manually or in an automated manner. So I think all of these pretty much go into what anyone would perhaps desire as part of a network automation orchestration software. Yeah, the part to having an agile infrastructure is obviously you have an endpoint, which is your device, a host, and you need to have the capability to discover devices that you want to manage. And AppViewX helps as part of the whole device management process itself. You can add device, manage them, and then finally you can have workflows that ensure that the business processes around automation orchestration is standardized, and then eventually the whole automation bit kicks in. So now that we've seen how the evolution of applications has been, and the pros and cons of the traditional methods versus the need for being agile, I'd like to showcase what's in it for you through AppViewX's visual workflow, which is an intelligent network automation orchestration platform with which is also event based. So I'd like to show how the whole workflow itself can be designed. You can design simple, complex workflows. You can integrate them with ITSM systems. You can bring down the turnaround time for automation. by reusing workflows, reusing the business logic. You can have dynamic notifications. You can have them integrated with alerts. You can do a whole lot of things, all in the context of ensuring that the whole process itself is agile. So this is visual workflow. What you see on the screen. I'll in a moment deep dive into the working aspects of workflow itself, in terms of how you can design your own workflows. So as you see, there is an intuitive Visual Studio that has a few workflow elements that allows you to that you can drag and drop. You can have out of the box business logics, or you can build custom business logic and then design your own workflows, right? So for example, if you have a team of, let's say, 4 members, and if each one of the member has designed his own workflows, and for some reason you feel there's a new need to tie all of the workflows into one and then automate something quickly, you have an option to reuse the workflows, and so that you bring the time involved to automate drastically. Like I said, visual workflow provides an intuitive and visual system for designing self-serviceable and event-driven intelligent automation flows. It being intuitive, it is imperative that it is pretty easy to design and deploy, and what you get is also a lot of out-of-the-box workflows that you can actually drag and drop and quickly automate between 2 minutes to 8 minutes, right? So that's the sort of turnaround time we are looking at, and obviously it is all tied to better operational efficiency, more productivity, and being agile as part of the entire process. So before I deep dive, these are some of the salient features within the workflow itself. One is it's intuitive, and it gives you that experience to visualize what sort of automation blueprint you want to construct. So the studio offers you that capability to design your own workflows, customize workflows, or use out-of-the-box workflows. And the workflow library has a lot of different elements or tasks that you can actually drag and drop and customize your own workflows. You just have to stitch them together and then automate the workflows. So the workflow, it is important that the workflow is intelligent in nature. There is a lot of decision that requires to be taken as part of an automation process. For instance, before pushing configurations on a device, you may want to check for the CPU or memory thresholds, right? Because it is important that we don't overload and bring devices down as part of the entire process. And in that sense, you need to have quite a few rules built in as part of the automation flow itself. So workflow allows you to build custom rules, be it check for CPU, TMM, memory. It could be for anything. If you want to check for system versions or anything for that matter before you push configs on the device, you can actually have them built using the rule builders. And cross-team collaborations and integration with third-party systems is key to the workflow itself. Like I said in the previous slide, networking tools have to seamlessly integrate with existing process tools and in-house systems. So in that context, and there is also the governance and compliance part. So in that context, the workflow tool enables you to integrate with your in-house ITSM tools. It could be Jira, it could be ServiceNow, Remedy, or CA, Service Desk Management, anything for that matter. So there is a plug-and-play model where you can define how you want to integrate with the ITSM systems, and then you can, as part of the automation process, have automatic change ticket creation, updation of the tickets, or even automated closure of the tickets. Now, what that enables you to do is focus on more strategic initiatives rather than focus on repetitive, and mundane tasks like creation of change ticket, entering a lot of details. All that is taken care by the workflow tool, right? So that your time is better channelized towards more strategic things around the network itself. And one of the key things with workflow is it allows you to reuse the workflows and the workflow elements. Obviously, it is all tied to enabling quick turnarounds. We know Southwest Airlines. Why Southwest Airlines in USA is pretty famous. That's because they brought the turnaround time to get back on air to less than 20 minutes, as against other airlines, which took about 45 minutes. In that sense, pretty much the same with network. You need to have reusable workflows, so that allows you to be more nimble-footed, and you can save time. We did, as part of the interaction with a lot of customers, we've done a bit of analysis, and in that sense, this is just one of the many illustrations where instantiation of the big IP itself on a KVM or AWS in a typical enterprise, it took about 4 to 5 weeks time, with a lot of teams involved in the entire process. Whereas with workflow, once we were able to convert the business intent into the requirements, once we were able to lay down the requirements as part of the visual workflow automation tool, the total time taken was around 7 to 8 minutes. That's pretty drastic. So in the sense that we were able to collaborate, interlink different teams, different tools, different systems, ServiceNow, BigIQ, self-servicing catalog, everything for that matter, pre-validation checks, and then pushing configurations on the device. The whole thing came down to about 7 to 8 minutes time, as against a few days or weeks. And one of the key things, that the visual workflow tool, helps you is with this simplifying and standardizing your business process. It enables better self-servicing, so that individuals or teams with relatively lesser network knowledge can actually give the requirements based on which device configurations and service requests can be generated. And tools, one of the primary reasons for anyone to invest in a networking tool is to eliminate a lot of human errors and outages because of that. And the tool helps you eliminate configurations, if they are wrong, and also helps save time, so that you don't have to go and rectify all of the configurations, right? And then it brings down the cost involved in an OpEx, and makes it more agile, because by being able to reuse workflows and business logic, you're able to save good amount of cost and time involved in the entire process. This is one of the sample use cases that we built. Like you see on the screen, you can either have a self-servicing form, or you can have a API request triggered from any system orchestration tool and into AppViewX's visual workflow. And then this is a simple example where we've integrated with info blocks. You can integrate with info blocks, have change control mechanisms with any ITSM tool, and then with one of the ADC devices. So you can have users fill in a form, a service catalog form, get the free IPs, reserve them in info blocks, and audit them as part of a change ticket process. You can automatically create a change ticket, have validations done, and you could even have multi-level approvals. You can review the configurations before they are pushed onto the end device. So that allows you to ensure that there are no human errors involved as part of the whole process itself. So let me deep dive into the tool and show how you can build simple and complex workflows. So the workflow has this is AppViewX. I've just logged into the AppViewX application. And on the left menu, you see workflow, and there are two primary facets to workflow. One is the studio, and the second aspect of that is request. So the studio is where you will be able to design simple or complex workflows. Simple or complex workflows depending on what your automation needs, and then you can through role-based access control, you can allow users to access these workflows, fill in self-service catalogs forms, and then automate the entire process itself. So within the workflow studio, or what you have, workflow elements or tasks. Some of these are available out of the box that that you can actually drag and drop, and then automate the entire process itself. And if you have to build self-service catalog forms, enable self-servicing, you can actually define custom forms. You can drag and drop. The form is pretty extensive. You can customize your form, get values directly from the device, from the database, and you can make REST API calls to any other system as part of the whole automation process itself. Right, and if you want peer reviews enabled, you can have review components to enable approval processes as part of the whole automation journey itself. And in the event of you wanting to create any sort of dynamic reports, you have the chat component that you can actually use to generate dynamic reports. One of the reason all of these elements are there is also because we are going towards low-code automation. We are wanting to be a low-code automation platform where you can actually have most of the logic built and customized, so that the tool itself is not too rigid. Right, we want to enable more automation, orchestration, and then reusability. So we have the ITSM section that allows you to integrate with ServiceNow or Remedy or Jira or any other ITSM tool as part of the whole process. And at some point, as part of the automation, there is a need to intimate teams and individuals, and you can either have dynamic or static email notifications triggered off to one or more recipients, or if the organization has Slack as a collaboration tool, you can have Slack messages. So for instance, if you want to check for whether the certificate is about to expire, you might want to get notifications, right? 30 days before 30 days to expire. If you want a notification, you can have a notification triggered. The workflow can trigger based on a schedule. It can check if the certificate is about to expire within 30, 60, or 90 days, and it can trigger Slack notifications, right? The store is where you have out-of-the-box workflow. This is the workflow store. You have pre-built workflows and workflow tasks that you can actually drag and drop and quickly automate a specific process. So let me quickly show you how you can build your own workflow. And in the event of AppViewX has its own GitHub, community engagement portal. All workflows and any sort of activity is available on the AppViewX Git, and you can actually download. You have a redirect option where you can go to Git, you can download workflows and then import them back into the workflow tool and begin automating and orchestrating. So let me just show you an example of how you can design a simple workflow using the out-of-the-box workflow store. So this is a flow where we're going to automate DNS records on an InfoBlocks device. I'm going to demonstrate how you can use pre-built workflow elements in order to automate your DNS records on InfoBlocks. I just give it a sample name. You can select the category if you wish to. Could categorize them under DNS. So now I'm into the canvas, and on the left, like I said, there are a lot of workflow elements that will enable you to automate in general. But in the context of designing quickly, I'm going into the workflow store, and here you see a whole lot of folders with pre-built business rules. So in our case, I'm going to show you, click on InfoBlocks DNS records and demonstrate how you can drag and drop some of these workflow elements and automate them quickly. And for any instructions, you can click on the help section, and you can download these support documents so that you get a clear understanding of how you can build the whole workflow itself. So in this case, what I'm going to do is drag and drop a few elements. So the first task that I drag and drop is a form task. In this case, one of my objectives is to get basic details around from InfoBlocks, FQDN, the free IP, and all of that. And then using those details, we're going to look at how we can create a record, a PTR record, or even an MX record for that matter. So let me just drag and drop some of these palettes. So I want to get some inputs. I want to talk to InfoBlocks. So all I do is connect each one of these elements logically, and then automate the whole thing. So in this illustration, what I'm trying to do is, I went into the workflow store. You have the pre-built workflow or the workflow elements here. So the objective here is to get a few inputs in the form. The form can be customized. It is not rigid in any sense. You can customize this form. It can be either simple or complex. It depends on the business needs. And then we just get the device version. We create an A record, PTR record, MX record. Simple stuff. And you want to click preview, you can actually click on preview and see how the whole thing is going to look like before you can actually enable the whole workflow itself. So right now what I do is I enable the flow. Now that we've visualized what we want to automate, in this case it is automating of DNS records. So I've drag and dropped all these workflow elements. I'm going to enable this. I validate and enable the flow. And once you've saved your workflow, all of that will appear as part of the workflow inventory. So this is one among the 316 flows here. So once you've defined the workflow, typically what you can actually do is using role-based access control or RBAC, you can assign workflows to specific teams or individuals so that you have clear access and permissions defined when you share the workflow. Right, specific users can go in, capture, the business requirements, and then contribute to the whole automation process itself. So now that we've defined the workflow as part of the studio, the request is where once workflows are assigned, users will be able to view the workflows that are assigned to them. So all the workflows that are assigned to a specific user, when they log in, it'll appear under the My Workflow section, and here we see, right, sample DNS records webinar. This is the one that we just designed. So this is like a YouTube palette where you can actually manually click the play button, or if you want to schedule a workflow, you can click on schedule. There are a plethora of options that you can schedule from, be it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You can choose whatever schedule that works. So in this case, I'm going to trigger this workflow that we've just designed. So what you see is a wizard-based journey, right? So all these different workflow stages that has been stitched is actually going to go through a journey. And what you see on the screen is precisely that. So right now, as we speak, there is an automatic transaction that is happening with the InfoBlocks device in order to get the FQDN and the IP address from InfoBlocks. So this is all automated now. And if you want any sort of help instructions that you want to provide to the end users, you can use the help instructions here. Click on next, and you will notice that the whole automation process would not take more than a couple of minutes overall. So as we speak, there is a transaction that is happening. We're just seeing based on the inputs that we've got, the FQDN and the IP. it's gone through the process of creating an A record, PTR record, and an MX record, all in a matter of few minutes. All right, and you can actually see real-time logs of the entire transaction itself. Now that we've created all of these records, let me quickly go into the device itself and show how the record creation has happened. So I go to inventory quickly. I have a DNS device. Yeah, let me just get the IP of this request. So once the workflow is done, this is the audit. This is the workflow audit where you can actually see all the service requests that are being created. So in this case, this is request ID 500, and at any point, should you want to view the logs, you just go in and click on the view log here. So let me quickly search for that specific IP. Search for the IP. Let me just get the IP. One 192.168.99. Yep, as you see on screen, we've just created all of these records in just a matter of a couple of minutes using the visual workflow tool. So let me now show you another example where you can integrate with the ITSM systems. I'm going to show you a use case where you can build a workflow to check for the certificates that are about to expire, based on which you automatically create incident tickets on ServiceNow. It could be a low, medium, or high incident ticket, and then it'll eventually trigger dynamic email notifications and then Slack notifications as well. So I'll go back to the workflow studio here. So I have this workflow called certificate alert expiry. So this is the workflow that illustrates how there is a workflow that is built that can be either triggered manually or scheduled, that will go check for the certificates to expire, based on the threshold, and then based on the days to expire, it will automatically go create a high incident or medium tickets, and then trigger dynamic email notifications and Slack notifications. So let me just go and trigger this manually so that you get an appreciation of how the whole thing runs. So I'm going to trigger this manually, and you will notice that it'll go through the process of checking the certificates that are about to expire. It'll give you a report if you wish to look at it and take action, and then it'll automatically trigger incident tickets as well as Slack notifications dynamically. So on the screen you will see hopefully see all the Slack notifications that get triggered. So we've created this ticket in this case. So I'm going to take this and then quickly go to ServiceNow and then show you the Slack notifications as well. So this is ServiceNow. Copy the incident ticket here. As you see, the workflow is automatically created high incident, high impact ticket, and it's passed a few details automatically along with the list of certificates that are about to expire. The whole process is actually automated, right? So let me take the medium incident ticket, which is 16979, and quickly show how a medium ticket is also created. Yeah. So as you see, there's a medium impact ticket that's got created automatically with the relevant description and the list of certificates that are about to expire. And for Slack notifications, you will receive the Slack notifications as follows with the incident ticket number and the list of certificates that are about to expire. Now, if you had Slack, you will have this notification pop up right in front of you, and then that enables you to resolve the issue and take remedial actions in order to renew certificates, right? So that it doesn't cause any issues with the application itself, and then you're able to take action within a given SLA. So in that sense, collaboration tools and dynamic notifications are really integral as part of the workflow process itself. Let me quickly show you the emails. So these are the dynamic emails. So if you notice, the emails are all dynamic with the ticket number and with the list of certificates that are about to expire here. So all of these are dynamic. You can, as part of the workflow process, have dynamic notifications either on Slack, emails, PagerDuty, or any other alerting system that you may have. And once the workflows are all triggered, all of them will be audited under the My Request section. This is the whole audit of all the workflows that have been triggered. And then you can see the list of completed in progress requests, closed and failed requests. Now this gives you a clear view, and all of this is a role-based access control. Only users who have triggered their specific workflows can actually see, so that it doesn't look too crowded. And in the event of wanting to see an overall view of all the workflow requests by its status, you have this overview page, the dashboard page, that will quickly give you a snapshot of what is happening, right? So if you want to sort it by the workflow and see the specific status, you have this report. And for whatever reasons, if you want to look at the change submission trend that has happened or on a given day or a period of time, you have this graph that will clearly tell how many requests have actually been triggered. And one of the key things as part of the whole workflow process itself is, like I mentioned, we are working towards a low-code automation platform. In that sense, you can actually have dynamic reports triggered. So the custom reports allow you to build queries dynamically and then have custom reports generated on the fly. So in this case, we have a custom report that is being done using the chart component itself that will enable you to build dynamic reports on the fly. So you don't have to wait too long. You can just query the device or database or make an API call, and then you have the report right in front of you. As you can see, a dynamic report has just been created. It could be any data for that matter, so long as the data is part of the database. You have the APIs, and you're able to communicate to a specific data source. You can build custom reports on the fly. I think with this, that's pretty much in terms of what AppViewX's visual workflow can offer. There is a lot of things that you can actually do in terms of the large scale automation orchestration itself. One of the key things with workflow is it allows you the extensibility, and using REST API calls, you can integrate with different cross functional tools and systems, right? So you can use it as a controller if you want to. You can integrate with HPO, you can have it integrated with Ansible, you can have it with Terraform, Remedy, ITSM systems. So basically, it provides you the extensibility, and with all the REST API connections and plugins, you will be able to pretty much automate and orchestrate across the entire infrastructure itself. And the way we, before I wrap up the whole series for this session, the general, I'd like to touch upon the trend and the market trends in terms of how the whole process is evolving, right? So basically, IT automation and configuration management softwares, will pretty much continue to expand to support automation orchestration needs of DevOps, digital enterprises, hybrid cloud architectures, and microservices-based applications. I think the focus of the market is shifting away from traditional workload management and job scheduling solutions towards automation of the infrastructure and application configuration, provisioning, DevOps lifecycle operations, right? And I think that's the general market trend, and you will see workflow also proceed towards a more policy-based automation orchestration and towards intent-based automation in the next few months and years to come. Let me open up the floor for any questions that you may have. Be happy to take them and respond back to you with queries. I think one of the key things is networks and infrastructure typically tend to have a lot of tools, right? And one of the primary questions that you may have is where does workflow, AppViewX's workflow fit in the whole infrastructure? There are a myriad of tools, config management tools, ITSM tools, process tools, and where does another tool focusing towards automation orchestration fit in? That's a legitimate question to have, and organizations have different needs. Some focus towards L2, L3 automation, some focus towards L4, L7, and in that context, you have the option to integrate workflow with any other tool. It could be Ansible, for example. You want to use it for L2, L3, and you want AppViewX to do more of L4, L7 orchestration. You can have them have it placed as a controller, and you can pretty much integrate. If that could be one of the questions that you may have, and that's pretty much what you can achieve with multiple tools. The upcoming webinars are as follows. The next webinar will be around ways to achieve cost optimization with network automation. It's on August 22nd, and the next one is around automation workflows for enforcing golden configuration compliance. That's on September 26th. Please do join the webinars. We'll be happy to get your feedback and take suggestions and answer them as and when we can. Appreciate your time on today's session. Thank you so much. Have a great day.